All right, Jeff, I would say probably the hottest swim bait, period, right now has got to be this guy.
Yes, it is.
The Megabass Magdraft.
But in that color.
Well,
that's specific.
Yeah. So, end of video.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, guys. So, one of the questions we get asked a lot here about rods is, what's the best Magdraft rod? And the answer to that can be so many different things depending on which Magdraft we're talking about. Because the 6-inch performs quite a bit differently than the 6-inch Freestyle, right? And it is quite a bit different than the 8-inch. And then there's a whole other level of the 10-inch, right? So today we're gonna break down the Megabass rod line, and we are gonna show you guys the best rods for each of these sizes so that you guys can choose the best rod for your application. You ready, Jeff?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to the Hookup Tackle. The Hookup Tackle is the world's largest showcase of Megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Depths, Lucky Craft, Jackal, and many more. The Hookup Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of Megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of Megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard to find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com.
All right, welcome back, my friends. I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, aka the Tackle Otaku on Instagram, being joined by my buddy Jeffrey the King. We are the Hookup Tackle USA. So today we are going to talk about something more in your lane.
Yeah.
Here,
this
Jeff.
is it.
Yeah, no more spinning rod conversation. We're back to swim baits. So today we're going to talk about the Magdraft. Now, I have got to. There's no question. The Magdraft is the #1 selling swim bait, I would say, by a long ways.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this thing has just been on the radar and on the map for so long, and anything in pre-spawn to spawn, it seems like in professional bass fishing, the 6-inch Magdraft or the 8-inch Magdraft is kind of a staple in every event, right? So, from the classic to, Elite Series to Major League Fishing, these guys just absolutely smoke them. What rod do we use, right? What's the best rod to use? And this can be a complicated question because there's a big difference between a 6-inch Magdraft and an 8-inch Magdraft.
Oh yeah, huge.
Right? And there's a big difference between a rigged version like this versus a freestyle version like this that you're gonna need to put a jig hook in and really hammer them, right? So today we're gonna break down the best rods in the Megabass lineup for throwing the Magdraft. So if you guys are getting into Magdraft fishing, you guys can find the right rod for what you are gonna need. So we're gonna start right here. We're gonna start with the 6-inch version, right? Now, this guy, the 6-inch Magdraft is probably the one that makes up, I would say, probably 60 or 70% of all sales, right? It's an easy size to throw. It's a big enough bait to where you are going to get the big bite, but it's a small enough bait to where you're not going to eliminate 2 and 3 pounders from eating it, right? So it's a simple one to throw in a pond, in a lake, in a massive reservoir, in anywhere you fish in the country, they are going to eat this thing. Now, it's 6 inches, it weighs 1 1/4 ounce, and it comes in 2 different versions. It comes in a rigged version, and it comes in a freestyle version. Now remember, if you go with the freestyle version, you're gonna have to rig it on like an 8/0, weighted beast hook or something like that. That is going to add weight. It is also going to be weedless, so you're gonna need a rod that's gonna be a little bit faster, so you have a little bit more power to drive that hook through the same way you would as like fishing a Texas rig or something like that, right? So here you go. Which rods are we using for these baits? So there are 3 rods that really stand out to me in the Megabass line for that 6-inch Magdraft. And I'm going to start here because this historically has been the rod that has been really put on the map as the 6-inch Magdraft rod. And this is the Orochi XX Perfect Pitch. Now the Perfect Pitch is a 7-foot 2-inch. It's a 3/8 to 1 1/2 ounce rod, 12 to 25 pound line. This rod really made, I mean, it kind of went hand in hand with the 6-inch Magdraft when it really burst onto the scene years ago. The reason for that is this rod was designed, obviously, to be kind of the perfect pitching rod, right? So it's strong, it's powerful, it's an F7, which would be a, you know, quote unquote heavy, right? So it can handle the weight, but it has this really beautiful soft tip to it up here. So the first kind of 12 to 18 inches of the rod are pretty soft. And what that does is it allows that bait to kind of load and then get this real accurate kind of cast to it. So if you guys are taking these baits and you're skipping them up underneath docks, or you're throwing it around, you know, a stump, or you're trying to be super accurate with your casting, the perfect pitch is an amazing way to go because you're going to really get that nice accurate cast. The only place this kind of falls a little short for me on the 6-inch is if you're really trying to bomb a cast out there. Say you're trying to throw way across a point and make a super long cast. Because of how this rod loads at the tip, it doesn't really bomb a cast quite as well as I would like. And because it's a little bit softer, I don't really like the way it drives the hook home as solidly on the Freestyle as I do some of these other ones. So for me, for close range, accurate casting, right? The perfect pitch is a no-brainer for the 6-inch. But if I want something a little bit more powerful and I need to make a little bit longer casts, a rod that definitely gets overlooked a lot is the 7.2 Heavy Valkyrie. Now the 7.2 Heavy Valkyrie is of course 7 foot 2 inches. It's 3/8 to 2 ounce. So you get a heavier rod here. It's a stronger rod, but it's still, the way it bends, it's more of a parabolic bend, but it's going to be a glass carbon composite. So it's got a lot of power, even though it's bending through the middle. So for those longer casts where you just need to just fire that thing out there as far as you can, this rod just loads so well. It's got so much power. It's a great one for making the cast. It's also strong enough to where you can use the Freestyle as well. Bends a little bit too far into the middle for me for being just a pure Freestyle rod, but it can do both. It can do both the rigged and the Freestyle very well. That's the 7.2 Heavy Valkyrie. Now, a rod that this is definitely for me, this is my favorite Freestyle rod. I became a fan of this last year when I was traveling with it, and the only reason I got this rod is because I needed a travel rod. And I just got so comfortable with it, and I love the way it fishes. It's sensitive, it's powerful. It's the perfect Magdraft Freestyle rod. This is the Treiza Dragoon. Now, this is a 3-piece rod, right? But 3-piece rod or 1-piece rod, it performs better, in my opinion, than any of the 1-piece rods for that 6-inch Freestyle. It's absolutely perfect. Now, what's cool about the Dragoon is the Dragoon actually comes with 2 different tips. So it comes with a regular taper tip that's a little bit softer, and it comes with a fast taper tip that's a little bit faster. So if all you're doing is throwing the Freestyle, go with the faster tip. But the nice thing about this rod is if maybe your Freestyle window is small through the course of the year, and then the rest of the year you're doing other things like a swim jig, or maybe you want to use it on the rigged version, you can put the regular taper on there and it's going to give you that little extra softness for the rigged version. You can put the fast taper on there and you get that little extra crispness for the Freestyle. It's kind of the best of both worlds. Spec it out for you real quick. It's 7 foot 2 inches, 1/2 ounce to 3 ounce. So you have plenty of power in here to really hammer them home, and it's super, super sensitive. Even on a long cast, you feel that real light bite way at the end. I can't say enough things great about this rod. It's definitely one to keep on your radar. That is the Dragoon from the Megabass Triza line. All right, Jeff, going up in size, we get to the 8-inch. Now the 8-inch is kind of a specialized size because it's obviously substantially bigger than the 6, but the weight really jumps up here and we get to a true 3-ounce bait. Now, some of those rods like that Dragoon is rated up to 3 ounce, but you never really want to push a rod to the max of its capacity, right? Because then you're really just kind of bogging everything down. So really you want to try to find a rod where this is going to kind of be in the middle of the lane. So it's true and crisp and you can cast it easily. If you're underpowered on your rod, these are a pain in the ass to throw.
Yeah.
They're heavy enough to where it's cumbersome, right? So you really want to try to find a rod that's crisp and sharp that can manage that weight. And I've got a handful here that are great. So first up for me is a rod that's actually surprisingly good at throwing that bait. Now, I'm kind of starting the same way I did with the 6-inch, right? I'm starting with close range, accurate casting, and we're gonna build up to more just long range bomb, okay? This is the P5 Tequila Bacarac. Now, this is one of those rods that was designed to do everything, really, right? They literally designed this rod so that a guy could throw a jig, a frog, and a swimbait. Like crazy, like no, those should never go together. But they wanted to design a rod that a guy could do a little bit of everything. Where this rod really shines for me is heavier baits, close range. So for me, like an 8-inch Magdraft, an Alabama rig, something that's heavy that I still need to be accurate, whether it's casting down the side of a dock, skipping underneath something, maybe close range toolies, maybe I'm trying to skip up underneath, you know, some toolie berms or something like that. This is an amazing rod for that. It's rated 3/4 to 4 ounce, but that 3-ounce Magdraft, it feels like nothing on it. I mean, it can fling it no problem, right? Now, because it's only 7 foot, it's a little bit short for making super long bombs with it. You're just gonna miss some of that length for getting the real accurate distance casting. But close range casting, it's so incredibly accurate. You can throw this 3-ounce Magdraft like you're throwing a 1/2-ounce, you know, beaver, right? I mean, it's just super crisp, super accurate, very, very responsive. So Tequila Bacarac for sure, '1 on the list for the 8-inch mag. Now, going up in size a little bit, another option that's great would be the Valkyrie 7.4 Heavy. Now, this rod is rated 3/8 to 3 ounce, so similar to that Dragoon, but it has a little bit more power. It handles that 8-inch mag, no problem, right? So what the Valkyrie gives you is it gives you more of that kind of perfect pitch kind of vibe. It gives you tip up here at the top and then lots of power down here at the butt section. So this is kind of bridging the gap between being a short accurate rod and a long distance casting rod. 7.4, so it's kind of in between. If I'm choosing between this and the Tequila Bacarac, I almost always go the Tequila Bacarac just because it's so light and so accurate. But if I need a rod that gives me just a little bit more distance casting, if I'm going to be going in between, you know, tight quarters and open water, tight quarters, open water, the Valkyrie 7.4 Heavy Plus is amazing for that. So definitely keep that on the radar if that's something you guys do a lot. Now, of course, as we get to these larger sizes of swim baits, that's when the true swim bait line of rods is going to come into play for Megabass, and these are going to be the TS Destroyers. Now, we're a huge fan of TS Destroyers here. The TS Destroyers are built like tanks. I mean, they're solid, they're strong, they're heavy. You just never worry about them. You never think about them. You just fish them hard. You fish them, you know, any style, any way you want to, you're good to go, right? So they're a little bit heavier than, say, like the P5 would be, of course, but incredibly strong. They got this cross weave graphite in there. You can push and abuse them. They're designed for big weights, big fish, big line, right? They're perfect for this style of fishing. Now, there are two rods in the line that handle the 8-inch mag great. One is the TS Destroyer Casino. Now, this rod is 7.7. It's 2 to 6 ounce, 16 to 30 pound line. Now, this is a very popular one. A lot of guys love this rod because this is the most parabolic of all the rods. It really bends true right through, almost all the way down to the grip. I mean, the constant thing is just constantly bending, right? So if you like a rod that's really kind of soft through the middle, this is going to perform like a crankbait rod would, throwing a crankbait, only with a 3-ounce swim bait on it. So perfect for that 8-inch mag. Now, the other one that I talk about a ton is the TS Destroyer Blackjack. Now, this is 7.11. Lure rating on the rod, 1/2 ounce to 4 ounce. We've talked about this before. It's completely not accurate. You would never throw a 1/2 ounce bait on this rod. And you can easily throw 6 to 7 ounce baits on this. We throw 6 ounce all the time. So, you know, throw that out. Trust me when I say this is really a true 2 to 6 ounce rod. It's perfect for the 8-inch, 3-ounce Magdraft. It's gonna have a parabolic bend, but it's a little bit more powerful, right? So this is the rod that I would choose if I'm just bombing that thing out as far as I can, right? If I'm just trying to get max distance, the Blackjack is super sick. It's got the grip exactly where you want it to be for just those big, powerful, long throws. So either way you go here, it's just personal preference. Do you go with a casino? Do you go with a Blackjack? Which one would you get?
I like to fish my Magdrafts deep and make long casts. I'd probably go with the Blackjack.
The Blackjack.
Yeah.
I love the way this feels. Hippie and I talk about this all the time. Hippie loves the casino.
Yeah, he does.
Right? I love the Blackjack. I don't know that you need both. I mean, you could have both.
Absolutely.
You could use them for different things. But if you're trying to decide between the two, you have to decide you want it to be a little bit faster and longer over here, or do you want it to be, a little bit bendier and a little bit shorter over here. So just two options. Both are great on the 8-inch. Either way you go there on the TS Destroyers. All right, and then finally in the Magdraft line, now we're talking your speed here,
That thing's
Jeff.
huge, man.
So the 10-inch mag, now we're getting up above 6 ounces in weight here. This is a lot of plastic. This is a heavy bait to chuck all the time. And Jeff, I know this is one of your favorite soft plastic baits. You love throwing this thing. When you're fishing the 10-inch, are you mainly fishing deep, similar to what we talked about, like with the 8-inch, or are you throwing it shallow? Are you doing both? How are you usually using the 8-inch?
Well, I mean, that's the problem with the Magdraft, right? You can fish it all sorts of different ways, and
Right.
you find that out really quickly. When I first started fishing it, I fished it around rocks and grass, and then I realized, like, wait, I can skip this really well, and it fishes around docks really well. And then I also realized, like, I could fish this thing on the bottom. So it's like, what do you do?
So all of these things potentially could be the right answer,
Absolutely.
depending on the body of water that you are.
Right, yeah.
And that's kind of the importance of showing so many different models, because if you guys are fishing just shallow and tight quarters, go with one of these shorter rods that we're talking
Yeah.
about. But if you're fishing deeper, more open lakes, go with one of the longer ones, or maybe a combination of the two, depending on
Right.
how often you're throwing the mag. So for the 10-inch mag, there's a couple of great options in Megabass line that we're going to talk about. First up, the no-brainer rod. This is the Orochi Leviathan. So this is an F10 8-foot double X. So you've got a true 8-foot rod. It's rated 2 to 8 ounce. Okay. Now, the Leviathan is probably the best all-around use rod, I would say, in the Megabass lineup. So if you're looking for just one rod to kind of do as many different things as possible, this is probably your stick, right? So if you want a rod that can throw both an 8 and a 10, this is probably the one you're going to get, okay? So it's going to be surprisingly parabolic through that top section. Now, if you go to the Levante version, right, it's going to be even softer. Okay, so I like the Orochi better here than the Levante for the mags. It gives you the power that you need to cast, because 6-ounce bait, it's a lot of weight back there. So you need that rod to have a certain amount of power to really help shoot it out, or you're just gonna wear yourself out, right? So this is a great one. It fishes great in deep water. It fishes accurately once you kind of get used to the length and how to cast. You can make the accurate kind of bank running type cast as well. So there would be no-brainer option number one for you in the Orochi. Now, if you wanted something just a little bougier, a little higher level, maybe something just capable of the 10-inch plus even more, if you wanted to give it more, in the TS Destroyer line, you have the king of Baccarat. Now, there's also a rod that we kind of skipped over called the Baccarat. Now, the reason I skipped over it is, even though, technically when you look at the lure rating, the Baccarat probably makes more sense. The king is 3 to 15 ounce. I mean, it's a huge range, right? The reason why I went to the king instead of the regular Baccarat is the way the grips are on there. It's a longer handle, bigger grip on the back. It's more designed for handling that weight and giving you the leverage for an accurate cast going forward. The regular Baccarat is more of a close range accuracy kind of rod. But for the 10-inch, it's so much weight, you want that little bit bigger grip, so when you come back, you have plenty of rod to help you on your forward cast and you're not feeling like you're fighting it. So the TS Destroyer, again, we've talked about before. They're a beautiful line of rods, built like a tank, super strong. This is going to be a very powerful rod, but it's not a broomstick. So you can see I'm not really flexing that hard, and you still get a little bit of give up there at the tip. So for managing and handling those heavier weight swim baits, this is a great one. And it's not super long, so it's 7/8, right? So it's an easy enough rod to manage whether you're from a boat or from a kayak or from the shore. It's kind of that nice kind of in between that still gives you the power that you need. So there you go. King of Baccarat, TS Destroyer, 10-inch, money. All right, so there you go, guys. Those are our favorite rods in the Megabass line for throwing the #1 swim bait on the market right now, the Megabass Magdraft. If you guys have questions on anything we covered, drop it down below in the comments and I will definitely get to it. Jeff will leave links to the products. If you want to check any of them out closer, you guys can. Until next time, guys, thank you for the business. Thank you for the support. Appreciate everything, and I will see you guys soon. Peace out. Good luck, everyone.